Let's talk about the Boy Scouts. Because after 114 years, the Boy Scouts of America just announced this week that beginning next February, they're going to rebrand as Scouting America. Scouting America. They're changing their name. And why are they doing it? Let's see here. The president of the organization, Roger Crone, announced Tuesday that the name change is part of an evolution as the organization seeks to ensure that everyone feels welcome. We are an organization for all. It's time our name reflects that, said Crone. Scouting under the name Scouting America will enable us to chart a course towards continued growth, relevance, and impact. I want to just go back to this line right here, and I want you all to remember it. We are an organization for all. It's time our name reflects that, which is a funny thing to say for a couple reasons. First, the rebranding is not really about a change in the BSA. Like when you have a century's worth of brand recognition, or you're a company people have just come to know, you don't change your name for like a temporary news cycle. When Twitter changed its name to X, there's a reason people mocked it. Like the company had become so well known that people use tweet as a verb. And everyone has like news shows have the Twitter names of their anchors on the bottom of the screen or something like that. Why would you change your name? It's stupid. So the Boy Scouts, like no one does a rebranding just because you're moving into a new phase. That's ridiculous. So that's one thing. But they're changing their name because to many Americans, it no longer represents boys learning useful skills and becoming model citizens. And if you're not familiar with the Boy Scouts, like as someone who used to be a Cub Scout anyway, like you go to your meetings once a week or however long it is, you learn about like working outdoors and tying knots and helping little old ladies cross the street. Like you'll learn nice things. Maybe you carve a little race car that takes last place in every Pinewood Derby. That's what Boy Scouts is. And like, if that's all it is, like, it's fine. I think I did it because my friends did it and the peer pressure was there. And like, it was fine. I enjoyed it. It was all right. But in recent years, the Boy Scouts of America have basically become a haven for sexual predators. Here's a headline from 2021. Boy Scouts of America settles for $850 million with more than 84,000 sexual abuse victims. Holy crap, those are Catholic Church numbers. Like 850 million because they had 84,000 victims. And those are victims saying, my den leader, the scout leader, is the person who abused me. Because you had a lot of these men alone with these boys at various times. So, like, this is the thing that the Boy Scouts are like, maybe we should change our name. And then they didn't change it immediately because that process has been happening for many, many years where the lawsuits were coming and the news articles about the lawsuits were happening. But like the BSA started losing members very quickly. And then they said, well, let's open up our membership to other people, not just little boys. So in 2013, they said, we used to ban openly gay troops, like high school age Boy Scouts. We used to say, no, if you're openly gay, we will allow gay troops. That was 2013. And then in 2015, they said, you can be a gay scout leader if you pass all the relevant background checks and everything. So they did that in 2015. Then in 2017, they said, if you're a trans boy, that's fine. We're fine with it. If you're transgender and you're a boy, come on down. So fine. And then in 2019, they said, you know what? Girls are fine. We can let girls in. You don't need to be a boy to learn how to like make a fire in the woods. So they let girls in 2019, which by the way, that's the right thing. They should, because there's nothing special and uniquely, you know, there's nothing unique to the Y chromosome about what the Boy Scouts do. You know what I mean? But guess what? None of that stuff, it was too little too late. None of that stuff reversed the membership numbers. They're like the Southern Baptists. And so then this payout happened and they had to file for bankruptcy. And the bottom line after all of this is that I'm going to share this with you. This is from PBS, just to give you some numbers here. Currently, the organization serves just over 1 million young people, including more than 176,000 girls and teens. Membership peaked in 1972 at almost 5 million. So they have gone in 50 years from 5 million members to like 1 million. And I know the whole bowling alone thing, and no one joins groups anymore, social groups, civics groups. So, like, it's not just people are like, ew, Boy Scouts, no, thank you. There's other reasons for that. But the Boy Scouts have not been helping themselves. You know what I mean? Uh, and now they're changing their name. So you kind of lose the association as well. And I'm kind of surprised because usually you have to have an oil spill to do that much damage to your brand. So I do get the rebranding in that light. They want to turn the page, they want a new image, they want a fresh start. But I want to go back to that sentence I highlighted earlier, because if the change is supposed to show now how the Boy Scouts of America is now Scouting America because they are an organization for all, that's a lie. They are still not an organization for everybody, because as inclusive as Scouting America, soon to be, claims to be, there is still one group of people they will not allow into their ranks. They can't be scouts, they can't be scout leaders, and of course I am talking about atheists. And this is longstanding. It's been the bane of a lot of atheist existence for many years, less so now than it used to be, but it is. And in case you're wondering, why on earth would the Boy Scouts ban atheists? It's for a few reasons. One is that all scouts are supposed to abide by the scout oath. And here's the line in the scout oath: on my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country. And yeah, who cares? I will do my best to do my duty to God. So you have to believe in God to obey the scout law. On top of that, there is also, I'm pulling this up here. Oh, you could see right here on the page, there's also Scout Law, which has 12 points. These are the things a Boy Scout is supposed to be. You're supposed to be trustworthy and loyal and helpful and friendly. All of that is very nice. And you scroll down the list, and what's the last item on the list? Reverent. You have to be reverent. Be reverent toward God. Be faithful in your religious duties. Respect the beliefs of others. Last line there, that part's fine. It's the other stuff. Be reverent towards God. Like, if you can't be because you're not religious, well, then you can't abide by the scout law. So you're out of the running. There's also one other thing here: a declaration of religious principle. And this is more for their chaplains, but it's an interesting line here. The BSA, Boy Scouts of America, maintains that no member can grow into the best kind of citizen without recognizing an obligation to God. You can't be good without God. So again, it at some level, the Boy Scouts are like Alcoholics Anonymous with their 12 steps, where they say you have to give yourself over to a higher power. That's what Alcoholics Anonymous says. And they say, we didn't tell you which God to believe in. We didn't even say it has to be God. It just has to be a higher power. And you can, wiggle your way around that or something. But the Boy Scouts are saying, we didn't tell you which God to believe in, but you got to believe in something. And because of that, it's not that they were going to kick you out if you were a quiet atheist, but if you were openly atheist, they got rid of you. They could get rid of you if you were adamant about that. And a lot of people decided, like, do I want to be an Eagle Scout, which is their highest honor, and do I just suppress that side of me and never talk about it? Or do I fulfill all the other goals and the gist of what they want me to become and be true to myself? But if I do that, then they're going to kick me out of here. And lawsuits didn't get anywhere because it's a private organization. They're allowed to set their rules. The reason this is a problem isn't that some private organization excludes atheists. They're allowed to do that. It's two things. One is that people have a lot of respect for the Boy Scouts, and they shouldn't, because it's a bigoted organization in that sense. But the other one is they get to come into public schools to recruit. And why is a religious organization, because that's what they are, why are they allowed into public schools? And they have partnerships with the US government. Like, for a long time, the US president was like the honorary leader of the Boy Scouts of America. And they get, I think, cheap rent to host their jamboree or something. Like, why is the US government? working with a religious organization, because that's what it is. That's why it's really frustrating that they're doing this. And I find it interesting that a group that even today claims to ensure that everyone feels welcome, they will make changes to everything, to who can become a member. They will literally make changes. The Boy Scouts will make changes to the word boys, but they still won't allow in atheists, no matter who you are. Like, come on. They've changed pretty much everything else. Why don't you just change this while you're at it? And if you're in the business of teaching kids values like loyalty, kindness, and friendliness, there's just no good reason to ban a large swath of people who may want to join. Like, what are you going to lose by letting atheists in? Are you going to lose religious people? Because guess what? They left a long time ago. When the Boy Scouts started letting in gay people and gay leaders, especially, a lot of Mormon churches that sponsored Boy Scout troops are like, we're out of here. We like the bigotry more than the friendliness and loyalty and respect and all those values. So, like, a lot of religious organizations decided to leave as a result. So, like, if you accept atheists now, who are you going to make mad? Those people, they're gone. Don't worry about them. And if you're mad about, like, if you think you're going to upset conservatives by letting in atheists, guess what? Conservatives hate you too. This is a U.S. representative and his response to all this. The left has now taken boy out of Boy Scouts. Wokeness destroys everything it touches. Like, buddy, they started letting girls in 5 years ago. This is not new. They're just changing the name. They didn't take boys out of Boy Scouts. Guess what? Boys can still join the Boy Scouts. And also, I have yet to meet anyone who uses the word wokeness that I don't roll my eyes at when they're using it seriously. So, I don't know. I also don't think reverence should be a goal, to strive for anyway. The funny thing about all this, the Boy Scouts also recently made headlines because they have a new badge that you can earn, and it's a diversity and inclusion badge. Like, they want you to learn about diversity and inclusion, and yet the organization is promoting bigotry of the non-religious within their own bubble. And as I'm sure many of you are pointing out already, the Girl Scouts, which is a totally different organization, not related to the Boy Scouts at all, the Girl Scouts have never excluded atheists. And guess what? They're doing just fine. The sky didn't fall. The cookies are still delicious. And, like, the sky wouldn't fall if the Boy Scouts decided to let atheists in either. Or just say, like, we don't care what faith you are. Here are the rules. Be nice. That would be fine. They could do that, but they're choosing not to. So instead of opening up to everyone who shares the group's values, they're changing the name and hoping no one notices the bigotry. Like, it won't work. You can't change the window dressing and convince everyone it's a different place. You haven't changed. You haven't changed in a simple way that does matter to a lot of people, which is just dumb. I don't know why they're doing that. Okay, I'm going to pause there for a second. We'll take questions, then I'll get to one last story that I think you will find very interesting. Remember also that the Mormon Church also separated from the Scouts. That's a lot of Boy Scouts missing. Yes, I think I brought this up. Like, yeah, the Mormon Church sponsored so many Boy Scout troops, and when they started letting in gay scouts and gay leaders, they just said, "Fine, we're going to do our own thing," and that really hurt the bottom line for the Boy Scouts of America. I think there were, to a lesser extent, there were also like Catholic affiliated Boy Scouts and stuff like that. But yeah, once all those religious groups started to leave, like, you could see the writing on the wall. During one night, they mentioned we have all kinds of religions and listed some. I piped in, I assume you're talking about some scouting camping trip or something. I piped in about atheists too and was told, we like Scouts to believe in something. Still remember that evening. I'm not surprised you do. That's, yeah. We like Scouts to believe in something. Listen, I know you've all heard the phrase, like, we do believe in stuff. Atheists believe in a lot of things, just not silly things. Like, we don't need to believe in superstition so you can check something off your list here. It's silly. But yeah, that stuff has an impact, and it doesn't have to. That's the weird thing. Like, I don't have a problem with what the Boy Scouts are doing in terms of like what their stated values are. They're pretty nice. They're good. except for this stupid thing that they just cling to for no good reason at all other than tradition. But again, their whole thing, the reason they're in the news this week is they're saying, to hell with tradition. We're going to start fresh, except for this dumb tradition that we're totally going to cling to. If I want to join a club, my choices are a bunch of hypocrites with a dismal business model or the thriving community based bunched with the cookies. Yeah, join the Girl Scouts, man. They got good cookies. You will never hear Girl Scouts going through, like, sorry guys, it's $1 billion payout for all the lawsuits for the sexual abuse. I've never heard Girl Scouts say that. That's exclusively the Boy Scouts. Earn a merit badge. Yes. Yes.